Okay, so here is another one titled Sunlight. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's looking pretty stylish just from this home screen. What options have we got? It's a gamepad one. Okay, that's good. Walk, look around, pick up and place flowers. That should be pretty simple. Let's find out what the game has to offer, I guess. I'm ready. Oh look, it's the titular Sunlight.
Welcome. Are you sitting comfortably? Are you focused and not thinking about whatever's bothering you these days? I'm not here to test you. Please, relax. Let your thoughts come and go and listen as they fade away in the distance. For better or for worse, this is where your life has brought you. Looking at a screen, listening to me. Imagine, for a moment, that you've just had a child. It's healthy, but unfortunately also completely blind. For their whole life, they will live in the dark and not see a thing. Their perception of reality is something that you might never be able to comprehend. How would you describe the world to them? What can't be touched or heard, smelled or tasted? How would you describe sunlight? By what it does? Or how it feels on their skin? I think I'd play them this piece of music. First composed by Tchaikovsky in 1878, these rays of light have traveled through decade after decade, finally reaching your ears this very moment. You have also traveled far to get here today, but you're only passing through and should probably get going.
Well, this is very cool. What an intro. Oh, it's all painted.
I'd like to tell you a story.
Oh, this is
What
lovely.
happened to me when I was young, walking in a forest much like you are. Those were days filled with boundaries and rules, of no running in the hallways,
Don't do this or that or the other. With my world full of fierce discipline, I walked the forest to breathe. One day,
Deep in the woods, I found a funny-looking tree, crooked, old, and wrinkly. With little work, a few bits of bark became huge ships.
Calm creeks turned ferocious oceans.
I can still recall the people I imagined
Dragged downstream with a sense of guilt. As I gazed back upon the old tree, I noticed something peculiar. It was crying.
every crumple, like eyes closed tightly.
Clear drops streaming silently down its wrinkly skin.
So I did as children do. Tasted it. Not because it looked tasty.
But to figure out what it was. The first drop made my tongue tingle.
The second made it prickle. And the very moment the third landed on my tongue,
a profound sensation
spread through my chest. Undefinable, like thirst, both vague and specific. One thing was clear. Something was changing within me. I remember breathing in
and out.
feeding the fire.
It's so atmospheric and cool. What is this over here? These glowy things. It's a flower? It is. Why are you glowing? Oh,
Following day, I
put it in the sun.
prickle in my fingertips. I studied them closely.
Discovering circular ridges in the foreign landscapes.
No?
Of my skin. The prickling soon slipped my attention. It would be another week until it returned.
A wave of gentle needles moving over my skin. A limb falling asleep, perhaps?
I did not start worrying until it returned for the third time. First making its way up my neck, before engulfing my skull
completely from behind.
I could even feel the tiny needles covering my eyeballs.
Wait.
But it did not stop there.
The audio's linked to the trees.
I held my breath as the smallest thorns crawled around my lips.
Each tree has a different voice. Each tree has a voice. Listen.
My awareness spread with it. And I remember the strange sensation
of my mushy dinner in there, as if I held its remains
In the palm of my hand.
Ooh. Turning to evening. Ooh. Yeah, I picked up this flower. I'm not sure what I meant to do with it though. There's another one over here. Can I pick this up? Can.
Suddenly, my body took control and opened my mouth. An explosion of air rushing into my lungs.
So cool.
The tingling spread with it
Through an endless web of veins, soon reaching my beating heart. For a moment, I stood in awe
of the activity
within my body.
I felt my heart beating faster, and my skin sweating.
Your body is your only vessel in this world. And when it misbehaves,
The claustrophobia is total.
Seek help, I thought. And at that very moment,
the tingling needles shot from my brain down to my spine. I felt them scatter through my upper leg.
Where
my
muscles
muscles contracted to lift my knee.
my body weight shifted forward, and a shockwave spread from the foot sole
As it landed softly on the ground.
The process repeated itself
In
in
greater detail for every step.
I was overwhelmed, but my body
Kept moving.
This
I
is-
do not at all feel like the boss, giving directions.
It all happened automatically.
automatically, and I simply along for the ride.
Like you.
This is fantastic. This is so cool. Like, it's a walking simulator, yes. But as a, like, way of telling a story, just walking through this seemingly endless forest and having all of the trees have different voices and speaking to you. Beautiful. So cool.
The doctor's office
Was cold and white,
Crossing the floor
felt like a polar expedition.
my parents, distant features of the landscape.
I wanted to explain, but was unable.
My lips and tongue engaged
In an intricate choreography, myself in the audience observing the words performed. My lips muttered, I'm sure it will pass.
While my thoughts were crying for help.
It's such just a unique way of telling a story. Like, the fact that it goes dark when you need to then go and get another thing. It's very simple, very intuitive as to what I'm meant to be doing. I'm staying quiet during the vocal bits because I want you guys to enjoy it with me as much as you can. Not quite as immersive, I'd imagine, watching it as it is playing, but...
The conversation kept going, but I stopped paying attention. Instead,
I was following the hands of a clock mounted on the doctor's wall.
They were both speeding up and slowing down.
I was slipping further and further away. A levitating camera in a video game budgeted with a code.
It was running on, again, with the binary, with the electronic circuit, and so on.
I closed my eyes and let my sensations lead me. First, I spent some time
with my bones. Among their many functions, I got lost in their continuous breathing.
An uninterrupted flow of calcium absorbed and released.
Even my skeleton was alive and living.
In
And of itself. I could feel my mind clinging
To the known, to the clattering thoughts,
the buzzing of memories and fears of the future.
but for each breath, tension was released.
and my shoulders sunk comfortably. It has certainly felt like I was in there, somewhere behind my face, but I was nowhere to be found.
And the more I looked, the more hazy I became.
So I wonder how many voices there actually are, because you're hearing quite a lot blended at once. Probably 10 plus voices for all of these lines. How many flowers there are? It's the next part of the story after we've picked all the flowers.
When my eyelids eventually opened, they felt as slow as a sunrise.
Photons converted to neurosignals
Shooting along the optic nerve, each carrying a piece of information.
Into the darkness. The brain categorized
Motion, color, edges, distance.
I sat for a moment in the dusk, watching the sunrise.
When the world eventually lit up, I was no longer
Wondering why matter lights up from the inside.
My experience had changed from the fire
to the light it emits. But it would get much stranger.
So cool narrative. What a way of telling a story. Yeah, the scenery is fairly repetitive, but it doesn't matter. The art style on the leaves, lovely. Very, very cool. Oh, one isn't like fully grown.
As the months stretched, I started
Daydreaming.
Or so I thought. It began as a shimmering field, creeping slowly in from the periphery of my vision. The hands of the clock, still moving, but among them
Vague shapes.
Slowly but surely, I saw trees flowing past me, and among them, myself, sitting right there in the doctor's office with a vacant expression. While walking around myself, I was surprised to still see the clock straight ahead. Myself from the side, the clock on the wall. The two images were not overlapping, they just coexisted. Like imagining a familiar place with your eyes closed, you see both nothing and something at the same time. I turned to look towards myself,
but saw only the face of the doctor, lingering somewhere
between confusion, concern, and annoyance.
However, when I studied his face closer, I was struck by terror. The image of myself had turned to look
straight into my own eyes.
I felt my own hand reach out towards myself, the weight of my hand landing softly on my own shoulder. Eyes distant, looking at the doctor, looking at myself. Rules and boundaries disappearing.
The way they've done the textures of the trees as well. You got different species of bark, leaves, and obviously just the soundtrack. It's chilling in the background. Bush over there. Have a listen to the bush's voice, shall we, with this one?
The fire was spreading, a delicate wave of nostalgia washing over me.
Intimate recollections of past sorrow, relationships.
Education and even medical experience.
Education and even medical experience. And at last I was no longer alone.
Kid's voice.
Not in the sense what the doctor was there in the room, but rather that we were together in the darkness of my mind. A vast number of sensations were still but now two observers to share the moment.
That's so cool. The small little tree has the kid's voice. Oh. The great big trees are going to be the elder voices. Ah, it. Love the detail.
Somewhere, out of sight, a hand picked me up.
And as I kept breathing, the fire kept spreading.
Soon, it swallowed my parents, sitting in their chairs, doubting my story.
I felt
Contradicting opinions and ideas coexist, but not in conflict.
Different notes and harmonious chords, shaping a balanced,
indivisible whole.
More clouds spread into my vision, and more sensations through my body. The music
was evolving.
I looked at my hand. 5 fingers against the surface felt no different than 5 bodies
or minds. Branches
becoming aware that they were connected to the same trunk all along.
Their experience, my own.
I thought it might be something along those lines. I thought it might be a, you know, it affects everyone. That's why there's all these different voices telling the same story. Kind of vibe that they were going for. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
The prickling kept spreading.
Each needle on my skin, another presence in my mind.
More and more observers sharing the burden. A vast number of sensations flowing. My world, like musical sunlight, just passing through. Every individual going about their business, strangers on the street unaware that they were all each other, their surroundings, and me. I knew and felt him all as I knew and felt myself. And I could no longer feel contempt, or that anyone was somehow less deserving. There was no longer me and you, no us versus them. It was all just me.
Go with the wind. Yeah, you should, like, if you're enjoying this, I would suggest trying to find it yourself and playing for it, because there's nothing like quite being in control of which voices you're going to listen to, which voices you're going to stop by. It's so cool.
As I kept breathing in and out, each new breath pushed me along
A ubiquitous landscape that was simply too beautiful to ignore.
What lay past each tree
Beyond every hill was another idea I knew to be true.
Mountains, transient shadows of matter.
Flowing through time, slowly
From one point of view, but the mountain itself, oh boy, it is in a hurry,
like everyone else. Both grow and scream.
An expression of energy floating through empty space.
All experiences merging to one.
There I was. All of us. You, me, I. The light that shines
through the film.
All else
is smoke and mirrors.
That kid's voice I've only heard on that one little sapling tree, that much smaller tree. Very cool.
As with all stories, this one also ends.
not because the story has an ending, but because it keeps moving,
leaving us behind.
My body kept living.
Like yours will, with surfaces preserving
Its illusion of separateness. This scream.
Our very own eyes.
I couldn't tell if I ascended or dissolved.
I'm soaring through space.
But unable to move nevertheless.
And as I turn in orbit,
The boundary between light and dark keeps moving. A cascading wave of thoughts.
Arriving at dawn, just to slip away at dusk.
Yeah, I'm gonna find one and just see if this little sapling here has the kid's voice. Gotta remember to come back to it though. This way. Disappear on me.
Suspended in nothing. An energy field fumbling in the dark, trying to describe myself.
I want to be safe, well fed, not too warm, not too cold.
To be acknowledged by my closest. So even though you are another part of me looking back, you will always be a stranger. A lump of resources for my exploitation. The branches cut, our hemispheres separated once again. Rocks skipping along the surface, never sinking in.
The inconsistent dash of beauty between the noise, picked up by a stranger with good intentions,
and with it, sentenced to die.
I don't care who you are or how you found me, but we are both reaching in. A few lonely rays venturing through space in just the right direction.
Absorb our release.
Stored as sweet sugars and exhaled as crisp and clean oxygen.
And while the light warms our skin,
Or while we wait for the next sunrise, we breathe in and out. All that matters is that you are here, right now.
And for a moment, we are together.
You and me as one. Like we always are.
And we always will be.
Oh snap. Oh snap. Horse. Guessing I have to plant these seeds. Oh. Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, have I broken it? Oh. Oh. Oh, wow. Saw these other bundles, but that's... Oh. Lovely half hour. I'll look at a couple more, see what they say. Coldplay quote, of course. Just endless nothingness. These ones over here. Oh, I just want to find more. I want to see what other people have written. Didn't realize they would be like left here. Now there's just a random one titled The First. I thought I was putting like one flower in each, so I thought I'll call it The First, but no, we're laying a whole set memory. Very, very cool. Read these ones, didn't I? Those. Fantastic. That was Sunlight. I would recommend trying to find it yourself. I'm not exactly sure where it's available, but very relaxing experience.